You have heard the story of an empire born overnight. One day the Ixar of Kunark were scattered, primitive, fighting to survive the jungle. The next, they had armies, magic, war machines built from knowledge no living scholar possessed. Historians call it the rise of Sebilis. They credit Emperor Venril Sathir. They are wrong about where the knowledge came from, and they are wrong about the price that was paid for it. The truth was buried on purpose, buried by a killer, buried by gods. Tonight, we dig it up. Venril Sathir held a book called The Unholy Writ of War. Inside it, strategies, tactics, magics that had no business existing yet, knowledge from a future no Ixar should have touched. He didn't write it, he stole it. Its author was a lesser god who met in secret with an Ixar named Kotiz, a necromancer of terrible ambition, and transcribed the book himself, page by page, and placed it in Kotiz's hands. The price was 50 living sacrifices, small, Kotiz was told, for an empire. But the being who offered that deal wasn't simply generous, he was testing. He does not hand out power freely, he watches what mortals do when given more than they can handle, and he learns from the wreckage. Kotiz was never meant to keep that book safe. He was meant to prove a point. Venril Sathir discovered the pact. He didn't punish Kotiz for consorting with dark powers. He killed him for it, and took the book for himself. That is the true story of Sebilis's golden age. An empire built on a murder, born from a test that a mortal failed spectacularly. His name was Zebuxoruk, a mortal turned god imprisoned by the pantheon for attempting to share divine powers with mortals. He is called the Ungod, the Disgraced, the Forsaken. No temple burns incense for him. No pantheon claims him. He was mortal once, a man walking the world like any of us. Some say he clawed his way to godhood through knowledge alone. What drove him was never power. It was a belief, reckless, dangerous, and utterly sincere, that knowledge belongs to everyone, not just the beings who happen to sit on thrones above the clouds. Mortal free will, in his eyes, was worth more than divine order. The gods heard that belief and recognized it immediately for what it was, a threat to everything they'd built. There is a hidden city on Norrath that honors him, not worships, honors. Fallen priests, disgraced paladins, shadow knights cast out by their own dark masters, people forsaken by their gods the way Zebuxoruk was forsaken by his. They gather in secret and share a belief that should terrify anyone still faithfully kneeling at an altar. That the gods are not so different from us, just as capable of cruelty, just as desperate to protect their own power. And Zebuxoruk was about to learn exactly how far they'd go to protect it. His crime was what he found and what he intended to do with it. He uncovered an unsettling secret about the true nature of the pantheon itself, and believing knowledge belonged to everyone, not just the gods, he set out to teach mortals everywhere. Forbidden secrets, battle tactics, arcane magic, he never got the chance. The gods understood the danger immediately. Knowledge like his doesn't stay contained. It spreads, it elevates. So the pantheon came together, not to negotiate, not to punish him quietly, but to erase him. They dragged him into the plane of time in heavy chains and sealed him inside a stasis field meant to hold for eternity. 4 spires, one for each element, humming with power meant to make sure nothing ever pulled him free. Mortals had other plans. They tore through the pantheon, plane by plane, god by god, until the last one stood between them and Zebuxoruk. Quorm, a four-headed dragon woven from fire, earth, water and air, forged solely to guard one prisoner. They killed it, and then they broke the seal. Zebuxoruk stood free for the first time in longer than anyone could measure. He opened his mouth to finally share what he knew. He never got the chance. Druzil stopped him. And here is the part that should unsettle you. Druzil was the one who inspired Zebuxoruk to seek all that knowledge in the first place. He stood there, confused, betrayed by the very god who set him on this path, until Druzil explained. It wasn't the knowledge itself that was forbidden. It was what sharing it would unravel. The fates of everyone everywhere would come apart at the seams. Watch closely, because this is the part the histories leave out. Rewriting time is not the same as erasing it. Druzil rewove the timeline itself, undid the war the mortals had fought and won, and returned Zebuxoruk to his prison exactly as he'd been before, as if none of it had happened at all. Zebuxoruk went dark again, sealed, silent, exactly as the gods had first intended. This is where his story pauses. It is not where it ends.